All right, so we are here today with Nick Martino, woo, and Max Kouznetsov. The plan for today is to kind of get into what hockey players go through when they're actually in it, and who better than Max and Tino. So wanted to start off with just kind of from youth boys. So coming up, what were your goals when you just started playing hockey compared to now? And you don't have to get all deep and crazy with it, but what's like when you started off, Tino? Like what was your like when you got you get on skates, right?
Yeah,
How old
right.
were you?
So I started off playing roller hockey actually. I started off playing roller hockey in like a neighborhood league, and then my dad played ice hockey, so he knew about like kind of just like the process and everything like that. So he got me started at Iceworks with the Delco Phantoms, and I played like a couple of years there with a few of my buddies. And then I went to the Little Flyers, and then they ended up folding, so I went to Junior Flyers. And then didn't really have a good experience there. Coach got fired halfway through the year. But yeah, I made a lot of good buddies on the team and things like that. And then everyone kind of dispersed from there, and I ended up in Voorhees, played for Virtua. And yeah, and then from there just went to juniors, and I am where I am today.
Max?
Well, I started Flyers youth way back. When was that? Like when I was 6 or 7. Played there for a few years, and then moved up to Comcast in Talking my 12U year, I think. What was that? Somewhere there. And then up until my first year of 18U, I played Comcast my whole life.
But for myself, I think back to what I thought when I played hockey, like when I just started, right? To like, as you continue to get older. So for you guys, getting out of the youth area, right? Did you ever think about like what your goals were, like when you were 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, the All-Star? Because I'm assuming you guys were like the All-Stars on the team at those ages?
Nah, I would actually like.
You weren't the All-Star team, though.
No, not me.
Not me either.
I just like I kind of play because I love to play. Like it sounds cliche and everything like that, but I mean honestly, like when you get older, Max can talk about this too. Like the whole college thing and like even when you're playing 18U, like juniors and everything like that, it kind of takes like you put a lot of stress on yourself as an athlete and like your family and your friends and everything like that. Just because you want to succeed, you don't want to disappoint anyone. But then like it kind of takes away from like just playing because you love to play. You know what I mean? Like most of the time, like the funnest times are just like when you're not thinking about that kind of stuff, like the championship games and stuff like that, where the only goal is to win, and not when you're at a showcase and everyone's trying to like do whatever they can to get noticed type thing. That's why you play. You play because you love to play. But like you get caught up in like the whole colleges thing, and it's stressful. But yeah, ever since you were a little kid, your goal has always been just to like make the NHL, right? Like be like Sidney Crosby or like be like one of those guys. And I think the important thing is just to not lose sight of like loving to play.
I remember when I was like 13 or 14 playing Bantams or whatever. I mean, my goal was just to get the team to nationals. Really, like we'd always have our preseason meetings, and our team goal would be like win nationals, right? It wasn't like, okay, get a college commitment or get a tender from whatever league or do whatever individual. It's more of a, okay, as a team, let's win this tournament, let's win that tournament, let's get to districts, let's go to nationals and win a championship, you know what I mean?
You know, you guys love to play, right? And that's why you guys are sacrificing and putting it in. Because right now you could be at college just having a good time, right? Like you guys technically could, you know, right off the bat just go play club somewhere, right? Just take the easy way out, right? But you guys are trying to live the dream out as far as it can. So, how is that? Like, how does that feel? Because that's the thing, because you love the game, right? But at the same time, there is that pressure. So, like, how do you guys find that balance?
For me, I feel like I come to the rink every day and like I see the guys, and it's just a total different like experience in a way, you know what I mean? Like in the back of my head, I'm like, okay, like college isn't gonna go anywhere. It's not like there's time to like, it's not gonna leave, right? Juniors though, like next year is my last year. Like I don't have a lot of time left in juniors, or then I got college. So like in a way, I'm just like, okay, like yeah, at times I might like want to be out with my friends or like be home with the family or be closer to home. At the same time, like okay, like in a year or two span, I won't be where I am today, or I won't be playing juniors. I'll be in college and have whatever. So I kind of look at it from like, okay, just enjoy life in the moment sort of thing. Like, yeah, it might like not be the best times in the moment, but looking long term, I know that I'll enjoy these years of juniors and where I am today.
I agree with Max. I think it's like it's definitely tough because you go to high school with all your buddies, right, and they're all off to college, and you see like their Snapchats and all this stuff, and then like partying and like doing whatever, like if that's what you like call fun. But I mean that stuff gets old really quickly. Like the whole partying and college scene gets super old really quickly, and like going to the rink every day and like having like I don't know, just like having like a real relationship with like your teammates and stuff like that. I feel is a much more not like benefit. I don't know how to say it. It's more so like going to the rink and like with your teammates and just working hard and like yeah, you guys have a ton of fun and everything like that. It's not all boring, but it's also more like a job. Like you have to be there, you have to be serious, you have to bring it every day. It kind of prepares you more for like the real world. You go into college with like a different look on things than like people who go right from high school. So I feel in that aspect it's good, but yeah, you definitely miss out on some fun stuff like what your buddies are doing. But I mean, like Max said, college is not going anywhere, and like juniors is like a one-time experience. Like you only have that small window to play hockey like at that level, and like it's just an awesome experience. I know for Max's sake and my sake, like we get a good decent crowd at our games, and like you're kind of like celebrities in the town. Like everyone loves you. Like it's just a cool experience. Like you're like a pro in that town. You're experiencing like a pro athlete lifestyle, and like you have to treat it like one. So I mean, like not many people can say they experience that, and college is always there. And I'm sure he has plans to go to college, and so do I. Whether it's Division I, Division III for hockey, whatever it is, it's still like a goal that can be accomplished either now or 3 years down the road after juniors. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, I know what Tino was saying. I think also that pro kind of atmosphere you have because you're in a smaller town, everyone knows you. We're both out of high school, so our main goal right now is just hockey. So we really do feel like a pro. You just come to the rink, you skate, you work out, you get ready for the games, you travel on the bus. You don't have to worry about school or anything for right now, so you really do get a taste of that pro lifestyle.
Yeah, that's actually a good little segue there. So for you guys, like what is, so kind of coming back from, right, youth was literally, right, like you lived at home, you went to school, you got to do different things that way, and then you had practice weekly, right, the AAA workload that way. What has been the transition for you guys? Like Max, so for you, you started playing juniors. You didn't play your last year of 18s, right? Tino, you did. So if you guys could kind of maybe touch on like what was it like, when you made the switch to juniors, right? Like intensity-wise, professionalism, maybe touch on that. What was it that you guys saw the biggest difference between youth hockey, right, at a high level because you guys played at the highest level, to
I think for me, since I left before my last year of 18s, it was more of a kind of catching up to the size and speed, I would say, you know what I mean? I was the youngest in the team by a long shot. Everyone on my team was either 20 or 19, and I was coming in as a 17-year-old. And luckily for me, I was only 2.5 hours away from home, so that also helped me. But I know some guys who leave home and they go like 2 plane rides away in British Columbia or somewhere in the USHL or in the NA. So some people struggle with the long distance and missing home, whatever. But I think the biggest thing for me was just getting used to the speed and getting used to just the physicality of the game. Like you really do have like a small window. Like you got to know what you're gonna do with the puck before you even get it. That's the cool part about juniors is like you come in, it's literally your job, so you got to know the systems, you got to know where guys will be, or like you just won't be in the lineup, you won't be playing. It's not youth hockey where you have 12 or 11 guys on a roster and you pay to play, right? In juniors, you come, at least in a high level of juniors, you come in, everything's paid for, everything's taken care of, but there's 14 forwards, there's maybe 7 or 8 D, there's 3 goalies, and there's only so many spots you can take in a lineup. So you got to come to the rink every day, you got to perform every game, you got to be ready to go. If you're not, you're just not going to play, or you might get traded, you might get dropped, or your career might be over very soon, you know what I mean? So I think the biggest difference is like kind of realizing, okay, this is actually like a job. Like I have to like be ready to go every time I'm on the ice.
I agree. Max kind of hit everything, but for me, like in next year 18s, my first year 18s, I played with Max Halsey, and then our second year of 18s. There were two totally different years. Like the first year, we had a ton of really good guys. Like practice was really high compete. And then like the second year, we had again a really solid group. We went a little bit further than our first year group did, but I honestly felt like our group the first year was better than our second year. It just worked out that we didn't go as far the first year. But yeah, from 18s to juniors, it was the biggest transition for me was like practices. Like practices is like game intensity. Like you can't take reps off in practice. And I think in 18s like it's not like you necessarily like Max says, it's a job, but like the compete's just not the same, you know what I mean? And that's not anyone's fault. It's just the fact that you're playing with older guys, and so that there's a different mindset in practice, that it's every day to get better type thing. And the fact that like how you practice is how like you're gonna get in the lineup. So if you don't perform in practice, then you're not gonna get in the lineup. And that just sets a different tone of practice, rather than, if I had to practice, I'm still gonna be on the power play, or I'm still gonna like play a lot of time in the games, simply because like I'm naturally better than the guys I'm playing with on the 18s, because there's really not the same depth of skill, and like just all around there's not the same like amount of skill between each guy. It just, you're gonna hurt the team if you don't play certain guys in 18s. And then juniors, it's like if you're not ready, the next guy up mentality, like this guy can do the same thing as you, maybe even better, because he has a better attitude. So I think for that, it's just like to compete every single day. It's like you got to bring it. Like you can't have days off or shifts off, or it'll hurt you. And everyone has bad days. It's just like if you have a good attitude about it and you work hard, like coaches see through that. Like coaches see through bad days, and they get like not everyone's gonna be their best every day, but they compete. And then like for me, living by myself was a pretty big adjustment. Like doing your own laundry, and like just like waking yourself up on time, like making sure you eat at the right times, make sure you eat good stuff, not just like junk food. I think all that stuff's just a part of like growing up, and like even out like we were talking about college and juniors. It's just like all that stuff is moving away from home. It's just good to experience like now. So when you do go to college, people that struggled with it, you kind of already had that experience in juniors, that you experienced living away from home. And yeah, that was the two hardest parts, was to compete in practice and living away from home and just like being on your own.
Right. What's the thing? I mean, you know, you guys kind of touched on a good amount of the hockey stuff and a little bit on the personal side. But I think kind of from what you guys talked about earlier too is, you know, because you are now like, you know, it is your schedule, right? Like you technically could do not whatever you want to do, but like, you know, you have practice, but there's also a good amount of time where you're doing nothing, right? Yeah. So, like, what do you guys do for that, right? Like, how do you guys? Because that's the whole thing. Like, how do you stay focused? How do you stay in? Again, how do you keep your head on what you're supposed to be doing, right? Because there's a thing. Especially if you're looked at as celebrities in certain areas, right? Because you're known in that area, like there's different stuff going on. So, like, there's a lot of extra time. How do you guys deal with that extra time?
Well, for me, I'm doing a little studying right now. I'm going to take the ACTs and SATs again just to improve my scores.
Nice.
But other than that, I feel like we're at the rink. We come in usually at 9 o'clock. We'll do whatever, skate from 11 to like 12:30-ish. Then we'll come off. Either we have workouts before we skate or after. The coach sets up a good amount of community service for the guys, so we always chip into the community,
nice.
Do whatever, help out, whatever needs to get done, we always help out. But if we don't, usually guys take that time either to recover from practice or from injuries or whatever it is. Maybe you need some just mental time off, maybe just go home, take a nap, kind of just reload for the next day, just be ready to go to the next day. But I mean, the guys usually keep themselves company. We'll come over to the guy's house, play some cards, poker, whatever, play a little Xbox, or just take time off, because it really is taxing on the, not even physically, I feel like, it's more taxing on the brain, kind of always being prepared, always being ready to go, always telling yourself, okay, like, I need to be, like, playing well enough to keep playing where I'm at, the level I'm at. So I think it's good that when you have time off, you can really just kind of unwind and go home and kind of take that time to yourself just to get ready for the next day.
Yeah. So we get to the rink at like 7:30, and we'll practice until probably like, we get on the ice around like 8:30. We practice until 11-ish, and then, you know, you'll do your weight room stuff. Like some guys do more than others, like injuries and things like that. Some guys will do rehab. But then like from there, it's kind of like you go get food, and then you'll have a short period of time, and usually we have video, like team video and things like that. So we do a lot of video and stuff like that. But away from the rink, it's like you do a lot of community service, which people really, really do appreciate. And like little kids and things like that, they really do appreciate when you go out and just like little efforts. Like we're not really doing crazy big stuff. It's kind of, we're just showing our face, you know, like messing with little kids and helping out. Like I think we do a couple of things where like we'll just bring out food at like restaurants and things like that and just make conversations with people. And people really appreciate that. And then like for myself, like Max said, just like unwinding, just like hanging out with the guys, or just like literally just hanging out, or going to like play bowling or stuff like stupid stuff like that. It's like, it's fun, but it's also like get your mind off hockey, like just spend time with guys and like have fun, like just chill out and have fun and not be stressing about like colleges and playing well and the next game or who you're playing next. Just unwinding, like you said, it's just really good. But yeah, you do have a ton of free time, and I think if I could go back and do it, or like next year if I play again, I'm definitely gonna like take some type of college class or something like that, just to keep my brain going. Like if I could, I wanted to see how it was, like how I would handle it, but like there's definitely time to like take college classes and things like that to keep your brain going. I'm probably gonna try and do that next semester or next season.
All right. Okay. Cool. Yeah, guys, I think it's interesting to see how, you know, there's so many different ways for us to develop as individuals, you know. That's why I think it's so great how, kind of stepping back a little bit, you know, jumping back into some of your stories, Max, like for you, you know, you played that 1 year of 18s, right? And then you decided, or you got drafted in the USHL, right?
Right.
And then, if we can transition a little bit into injury, you got drafted, and like I believe it was like the next weekend or the following weekend.
Right. Broke my collarbone.
You broke your collarbone.
That's right.
And then, you know, how was that experience? Like, because again, you kind of see yourself like, this is awesome. You know, the coach is all about you, right? Like,
right.
Kind of bringing it back to all that. And now all of a sudden, you played in a tournament, you played well, and then you get injured.
Yeah, last game.
And you know, you have camp that you have to be ready for, and the whole thing. And you know, how was that summer for you? Because there was a lot of different moving pieces there for you. So like, what was that like?
It was weird. It was a weird summer because obviously summertime's the time to develop, time to get better, time to get ready for the season. And that was my year going into juniors. So that was the hard part for me, I think. But I mean, I feel like the hardest part was figuring out where I was going to land, because I was drafted to Sioux Falls, and we were talking to the coach, whatever, saying how, like, kind of getting an approximate time period where I was going to get back, or when I was going to start shooting again, or getting into contact. And we kind of landed towards, we had a camp in the summer, kind of like a 40-man camp. I went out there. I wasn't 100%. It was kind of literally my first week back, kind of into contact. Still not supposed to be, but I mean, you do what you can. I didn't do my best and make the cut, which is fine. Then I ended up going to Amarillo that year. Then I ended up in Junior Rangers. But I feel like that summer, it was more of a just kind of like preparing mentally, because I knew it was going to be tough the first couple of months, just because I couldn't get really prepared as I wanted to for juniors. I didn't really put on the muscle I wanted to, or the mass I wanted to come in and kind of dominate my first year. But it was more, I think the challenging part with the injury that summer, at least for me, was just finding out where I was going to land, because a lot of pieces were, as you said, were like rotating. A lot of teams were reaching out. So yeah, I think the biggest part of that summer was just figuring out where I was going to land.
So like, what did you take, like for you right now, looking back, right, making that, like going through that whole year that you went through, right, from starting off from injury, where most people want to start off like, you get drafted right off the bat, you start thinking about, oh, this is great, like I'm ready to go, like I'm on to the next piece, and then you have a setback,
right,
and then you have to battle, because like that season went for you, like you had, you know, you were getting comfortable in,
right,
in your place on the team,
right,
and then towards the end is where you really turned it up.
Mm-hmm.
So like for you right now, if you kind of look back at it, what would be the you know, what would be your couple takeaways that you think that really stepped you up, or you know, that you think would be good for anybody, any other hockey player out there kind of thinking about it?
I feel like, I mean, I told my coach last year, I think the biggest thing last year for me was kind of like adjusting to juniors and kind of like realizing that it's okay to sit. Like the first couple months I played, first couple first half of the season I played, I was a third, fourth line guy. I was on the power play, but it was like we weren't going out like as much the first unit. And I was talking to my parents about it, like obviously it's hard. I was kind of going back and forth between 18 units staying and kind of just seeing where I was at mentally. But I realized towards the end of the season when like once the playoffs were over, once the season was completely done, I kind of realized like, okay, like that was a really big thing for me, kind of like to go through the experience where like I wasn't getting playing time, and I kind of like battled through adversity and realized that, okay, like this is what this and this is what it takes to kind of like be at the top level, be at a top 6 spot in the lineup. And it worked. I mean, this year so far the team's doing well, individually I'm doing pretty well, so I feel like it was totally worth it, the time where I did struggle and I did go through that adversity. It's kind of experience kind of in the back of my mind, like also like you know how much you need to work to kind of be on that level. You know how much kids are working hard and trying to take your spot in the team, so it's a good like experience for me.
And Tino, kind of jumping to you there, so you did stay your 18 year, right? You kind of touched on it a little bit in some of the stuff we talked earlier, but you did stay. How do you feel? I mean, listen, like you jumped into juniors now, all the things that we just kind of talked about, where like the difference in the transition, the whole thing. How do you feel about? I mean, how was it for you playing that last year, being the oldest guy, and not the oldest guy, but you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, yeah, it was definitely a different experience than Max. You know, my parents, as long like biggest thing was me and my parents both felt that like it was pretty important for me to like finish out high school where I was, because you know I went to a pretty good high school. I went to Malvern Prep, so you know I really liked it there. I had a lot of really close buds there, and like I had opportunity to play juniors, but you know it was just best for me and best for my family just to like let me experience my senior year in school. And we felt that, you know, with Jarrett Beach coaching the 18s, that he would help me out the most, like with colleges still, and I would still get the same experience with college looks as I would in juniors. And so it was just for me the most important thing was staying in high school and finishing high school. I felt like you don't get your senior year twice, and like for me, I had a really lot of close relationships with teachers and buddies in school, so I didn't really want to pass that up. But I think for like the hockey part of it, like being like kind of the go-to guy for an 18U team was like I needed that pressure. I needed to learn how to play with that pressure. I wasn't a captain, but you know I saw myself as one of the leaders on the team. I was an older guy. I was obviously a second-year 18U guy, so you know like that was also good. Like being able to like lead some of the younger guys and just being in that position and playing with that position just serves a whole different purpose when you're playing like your first year of 18s, when you're not the older guy, and like the older guys have been through it, and you know they're dealing with the younger guys, and they're trying to show the ropes and like basically lead the intensity of practice and kind of bring things like take charge. But I think it was like honestly I don't really see if I choose either way, like one way or another, I don't really see like there's benefits to both and there's negatives to both for sure, but like I mean, it just all depends who you are, and it all depends on like what your situation is. Like if you want to pursue juniors after your first year 18s, you have a good opportunity like Max did, and you feel like you're ready, then I feel like why not, right? But for me, it wasn't the best thing for me, and I was just comfortable with what I had, and I had an awesome year. My second year of 18s, like I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, it was an awesome year. I made a lot of really good friends, and I was still like got better, prepared myself to play juniors, but you can't really prepare yourself to play juniors until you're there, right? It's not, you can do as much as you can, like mentally and physically, but until you're there, like you can't really experience it or do anything. So yeah, I mean, I felt ready when I was at juniors. Like we said, the little things like to compete and things like that, but I feel like as a whole, like I've been ready, and like physically, I feel like I'm strong. Mentally, like you know, just some small things, adjusting to this game, speed of the game and things like that. But yeah, like I feel like the 18s and the juniors and the first year 18s and moving to juniors is kind of just like it's got to fit you. Like you can't do something because like I couldn't have went and played my first year of juniors after like with Max because it was the best thing for Max. Like I had to do what was best for me. Right. And like again, look, Max is still in a great spot, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. So I mean, it all depends on who you are.
It's just when you're ready, you know what I mean? Like, ready physically, mentally. I mean, you take your, like for me with high school, talking about Tino, he finished his senior year. I took online courses my senior year, which luckily I transferred back after the season. I got to walk with my class, kind of experience the last month of senior year. But I mean, it's just whenever you're ready, really. Obviously some guys go straight from midgets to D3. You have those type of guys, so like don't even have to play juniors, so to say. So just whatever you want with hockey. It's a bunch of different paths.
Yeah, no, I think it's always interesting. Like I said, it's always interesting to see how different routes, right? How we still find our way to develop, you know, and because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like it's like just because you were committed, let's say, at not, you know, just because someone's committed at 15, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be the player that they should be. They're going to unleash their potential.
Right.
You know, when it gets to the actual time of going for that school. So it's important. I know for me, I try to look at it and think about it from, am I doing the best thing for me to develop, or am I doing what is the sexy thing at the moment?
Right.
Because it's great to be able to say, like, I'm going to do this and that, but again, it comes down to you guys actually accomplishing and doing it, right? It's actually battling and going over across the obstacles. Like I know that you and I talked through that whole year.
Right.
Like it was a battle, but you survived, you made it through, and,
right.
and you know, you came through. And going back to D2, so kind of jumping into the next part now is, so for you guys, so Max, for you, you went to another USHL camp this past summer, right? And then from there you battled, right? And then you went to Johnstown afterwards, right? And then Tino, for you, you went to Johnstown. That was your first NA. That was your first time in a junior camp, right? Kind of getting ready to go for that. And then now you're over in the BC. So, however, you guys, your takeaways from like this past summer, from the past year, the whole transition, like what would I know that's a very broad kind of thing there, but what would you guys say, like, is if someone that's listening right now, right? What's your biggest takeaway now that you're a year older, right? You kind of went through that, so now you're out of that 18, so you guys are both out of that situation. Like what, you know, the different, because you guys both had obstacles you had to battle with.
I feel like for me, it was just like, the biggest takeaway was just how well we worked together during the summertime. You know what I mean? Like I came to the start of camp, and it was just a whole different level. Like you come to camp, and the fact that I was confident in myself, I knew like, okay, like during this physical test, like I know this is my score, and I know I can top all these guys going on the ice. Like I knew, okay, like I'm good at this, and this, and this. Like I know I can beat anyone out on the ice or out-compete anyone on the ice. That was like the biggest key for me this summer going into camp. But I think the biggest takeaway is just like, especially in juniors, it's not like youth hockey where you sign a contract in March or April and you're like, okay, like I'm set for this team for the next following year. Where in juniors, you come to the camp, there's 30 or 35 guys at camp. You're not sure yet if you're gonna stick out or you're gonna might have to find another team. And I think the biggest takeaway is just like wherever you land, it doesn't matter where you land. It's just how you come into the next team and how you make an impact on the next team and how you kind of show yourself to the coach and to the community.
Like the summertime, like when we do all those Eastern runs and like all those kind of like, not like, you didn't really see a purpose of like running the Eastern or like doing the TA runs and all that, but like at the end of the day, it's kind of like pushing through and just like, for me, like from taking away from those Eastern runs and like just like the hard workouts that like you literally would come in here and like not want to do it all, right? You had no motivation to do it. It was running. It was hot, you were wearing a sweatshirt, like not a good time. But at the end of the day, like when you got to camp and like you could see like guys that like were at the beach drinking beer all summer, or guys that were like off doing whatever, and then like, you know, you're feeling good, right? It's like third or second day at camp, like guys, you can tell guys are easily beat up. They looked great the first day, but when grind time comes down to it, and like you can tell he's been putting in the work, like doing those things, like it really comes in handy. So I think just like the summertime, just knowing that when you put in that hard work and you put in those extra minutes and like do those extra little things, like things like going to, like you wouldn't know if we went to Eastern all the way, like you would never know that. But you know, for yourself and for guys, like to push guys with you, like even if you're with guys that don't really want to do it, I think pushing guys that haven't experienced that junior yet, or even the pro guys, like, because I know when we work out with like the pro guys, it's kind of an unspoken thing that like, you know, you obviously want to be in the shoes that those guys are in, and like you kind of watch every little thing they do, although like we're older now and like whatever, we're still gonna look up to those guys and we're still gonna watch how they work. So like you see those guys work, they don't like, you can tell they don't take shortcuts, and they don't do like, they don't like run half-ass or like do any of that. So you can just tell that putting that extra work in, doing those extra things will get you that extra step in camp. Will give you that lucky bounce in camp, or those lucky, like whatever you want to call it, but it's really not luck. It's just hard work, and you've been prepared and you've done the right thing. So like you should be rewarded for that. And I feel like the summertime I came in fully prepared. And then switching gears from the North American League to the BCHL, you know, it was again, it was just like a decision that I thought was like best for me, and like best for like reaching my goals of playing Division I. And like going there, it was the same thing. Like day in and day out, you had to work hard, and you had to do what you had to do. So I mean, from the biggest takeaways from the summer, it was just like you can't really see it as an off season. Like you're still in season, you're still doing this. You're not skating every day or not playing games, but you know you still gotta work just as hard as you did in summer. Like, people are gonna keep moving past you, and you touched on the commitment thing, right? And that's crazy, because like you'll see these kids commit at 14 or 15, right? Unreal hockey players, like all the most skill in the world, like have like 3 points a game, like in 15U and 16U, and then you get to juniors, right? And like bigger, stronger guys, like everyone keeps progressing. The guys that don't have those commitments are even more hungrier now to get commitments. Everyone's progressing and everyone's working hard. And then you just see those kids with commitments kind of fall off, right? They don't, like, the pack pushes past them. It's just crazy to see, because we both played against many kids who were committed to 6 schools, and like at the time it was like, wow, that kid's gonna be something special. And then now, like, I can probably name you a handful of kids that like don't even I don't even know if they play hockey anymore. It's crazy. So I think the whole thing is, like we touched at the beginning, it's just loving to play, and you know, just working hard and just seeing stuff out, like not always doing stuff for reward, right? Just like kind of working hard and just knowing that if it's meant to be, if it's meant to be. If not, you're still playing hockey. You love to play, right? So I think just the biggest takeaway is just the off-season thing. Don't take it for granted. Like work hard, put the minutes in, and like luck will come your way. But you truly, if you earn it, you earn it. If not, like you don't.
I think it was cool also during the summer. I mean, he's before this
Gosh,
year.
Look, Eastern Run is we run to the school that's right next to us. Bleachers, a bunch of different things in it. You got to be a TA, got to know. But it's an intense run that we do. Go ahead.
I was saying before this year, I mean, Tino didn't play juniors, but I think the cool part about like working out with him, working out with a bunch of guys from Virtue and everything, like we all had a mindset kind of like I experienced it where I knew where guys were like fighting in and out or trying to make their way on an NA team or like a higher level team. And I kind of knew what to expect going into camp, and I knew that I had to put in the work this offseason because I knew how hard other guys would be working, whether that's in the United States or Russia or overseas or whatever. But I think it was really neat that like Tino, and I can name a handful of guys who were like come in and have the same exact mindset, knowing like, okay, like I need to come in and work just as hard as the next guy next to me in the group, just to like keep up, or like to come into camp and dominate, because that's what's gonna show you and the other kid that can. And that's why you're gonna make the team and the other kid's not gonna make the team. You know what I mean?
Guys, I'm gonna tell you, I think it's awesome because you a couple of things you guys touched on. I know for me it's special when you guys are in here and you're just like, you know, you're hoodied up, right? Because again, people think that the hoodie is for like, you know, weight loss or whatever, and it's not about that. It's not about making you sweat more. It's not about, I mean, that's a piece of it, but it's honestly the mental game of it. It's, yo man, get in. Don't worry about the stuff that doesn't matter. Just focus on what you're supposed to do and do that.
Right.
And you know, when you see the other guys just pushing, pumping, and you're competing, you increase that compete level. But I think it's awesome that, you know, a couple of things you guys touched on there. And I kind of wanted to jump back and hit, I think, Max, I think you said this. So you were saying how much, and for both of you guys, this will be one of the last, like, I have a couple of easy questions. We're pretty much coming up to the end here.
Okay.
So, last kind of touch on this is with coaches, right? So you kind of mentioned, you know, coming in, showing the coach how you love it, you do this, everything, right? You want to get in there and you want to show them that, yo, man, I got all the essentials that you need,
right,
plus more. You want me as a piece for you.
Right.
What if you don't fit that piece?
It's happened to me a bunch of times, you could say. But
Well, I'm sorry. So let me just rephrase. Is what if I know you get the question, but just to, what if you're not a piece in the coaches, right? No matter how much you show how great you are, what if that coach still just doesn't look at you?
Right. I think that's the hardest part for me this year. Like, kind of like, I came in, I knew for myself that I did all I could. Like, I came into camp, I battled, I did well in testing, one of the top scorers for squad, I'm sorry. I'm not a fighter, but I mean, I took on biggest kid in camp, kids committed or drafted in Anaheim. Coach loved it, but I mean, right before preseason started, we had a talk, had a conversation saying, listen, like, just don't see you fitting in the lineup here. Like, it's nothing against you. Like, we love you, whatever. You're a great kid, great hard worker, but we both agree that it probably wouldn't be the best spot for me. And it's tough. It's a hard conversation to have. But I mean, you just got to rebound enough. You got to realize, okay, this might not work out, but it's not going to hold me back for the rest of the season. You can't just hold a grudge on it, you know what I mean? And it wasn't the first time for me, so it was kind of easier for me to kind of like take a step back and look myself in the mirror and be like, okay, like, it's another time where it's another bounce back, but you just got to come back stronger and kind of have that in the back of your head when the next time you're working hard and you might want to give up or you're tired and you just be like, okay, hold on, like, remember this time where you got cut, like, let's not have that happen again. So,
well, especially for you, because you were one of the final cuts.
Right.
You were there at camp, working your ass off, doing everything you're supposed to do, right? And then you're one of the last cuts to go.
Yeah.
And the coach loved you, like, the whole time. He's sending you, like, all
we
kinds of
have a great relation. I feel like still, if I reached out to him now, like, we'd have a normal conversation. We still would be on fine terms. I mean, I don't have anything wrong with him, but I mean, it's nothing you can do about it. It's just hockey. It's just life. Like, you might not, especially in life, you might not get the job, but it doesn't mean like the guy doesn't like you. Your boss might. It doesn't mean he doesn't like you. It's just life. You know what I mean?
You just don't fit that puzzle.
Right. It's just not what they see in their future. So just take that and just work harder the next place you go.
Right. So yeah, you got one?
Yeah, I got one.
Thanks.
I always got one. No, yeah, Max kind of touched on it. For me, you know, like, I went into my first junior camp. I made the team with Johnstown, and I was tendered to play there. So like, I had my goals set to play there. You know, I had a really good relationship with Coach Perry and Mike, and you know, like awesome coaches, like awesome place to play. And it's just like, you know, I worked hard in camp, and I felt like I did what I needed to do. Like, I love the guys and everything like that. But at the end of the day, like, where I was playing and the roles I were playing, you know, me and the coaches just didn't see like eye to eye on where I thought I should have played and where like he was playing me, which is fine. Like Max said, it's life. Like, no hard feelings or anything like that. And it's just like, they're doing what's best for the team, and they have to win, right? Like, their job's to make the team win, and if the team's not winning or if the team's underperforming or something like that, things change. But at the time, the team was doing well, so why change something? And I felt for me, like, if I needed to like advance my goals and like move closer to my goals, that I just needed to move on. And you know, they understood that, and that was definitely a hard conversation to have, especially when you initiate it from a player, because at that level you're kind of just grateful to be there, right? Like, it's so hard to make a team, and then once you make a team, it's like, wow, like, this is awesome. But you know, then the like athlete in you and the competitiveness in you, if you're not like playing a lot, or you're not even playing a lot, you just don't feel like you're getting what you like earned or something like that, I guess you could say. Like, it drives you, right? It drives you to push even harder, and then at some point it's like you have to have a conversation that if you feel like there's a better opportunity somewhere else for you, like, that's a hard conversation to have with the coaches. And I felt like, you know, that just made me stronger as a person. Like, having that conversation with him and being able to like have that, like, be in that tough situation would just like help you again, like, down the road with like jobs and things like that, when you just feel like you feel like you just have to move on from something, right? And like, no hard feelings, like Max said about the Sioux Falls guy or Cedar Rapids. Yeah, like, Johnstown was awesome. Like, the coaches are awesome, and he loves it there. Like, Max is doing super well there, and he's killing it. And like, great for him, like, great for the team. And like, I still like really good buddies with the guys on the team. And if I could go watch a game and watch these guys play, I would. But yeah, so I just moved on. You know, like, for me, I fit better where I'm at now. Like, just like. The coaches just felt like, for some reason, like, I fit better in that lineup, and I was just like I'm still playing hockey. I'm still in the same situation to get a Division I or Division III scholarship somewhere, or I'm still like reaching for my goals. So I feel like, you know, I didn't let that, like, I didn't after I like left Johnstown, it was like, oh, he thinks I suck, like, then I must suck or something like that. Like, I kind of just used it as motivation in a good way, not like say like, oh, those guys don't know what to talk about or anything like that. It's kind of just like they had a certain mindset of what they wanted in a lineup, and like if you don't fit that, that's fine. You just move on to the next thing and you work hard and you use this motivation to like make it fit, to make the next one fit or make the next one work. And if the next one doesn't work, then you move on. The whole process, you just keep a good attitude. You know, you don't burn any bridges. You know, you never know where people will be down the line, and you work hard and you play because you love to play. I keep saying it, but it's so true. If you just play because you love to play, things will work out for you.
I think, and I love that because honestly, I think everyone's so scared to, you know, like you actually just mentioned too, is burn a bridge. But like you also said, you love to play.
Right.
So there's players that we know, right, and I'm sure many people could think about different people, but that really, really, really good hockey players. But when they were on one team, it was like they were nothing because the coach just looked at it as, look, you just don't fit my system as I'd like. I like you a lot, but you just don't fit that system. Right. And then they go to a different team, and all of a sudden they're an all-star, right? Or they're just playing more, or they're a much better player, right? So when it goes back to it is you can't be scared to make a decision because that's what it comes down to. You have to make a decision, commit to it, and go after it. And I think that's why, you know, it's always, I love hearing about like the things that you guys are going through because it's awesome to see how you guys are dealing with the obstacles that are set in front of you because this is a really hard path. Right. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm like, forget about the pros for a second. D1 scholarship, you got 60 schools. Say there's 20, that's not, but let's say there's 20 scholarship full rides per team. It's like 1,200. That's like 1,200 scholarships, right? And how many people? Like, think about how many youth players are coming up. Think about all the different things. So there's so much compete there, and I just, you know, and I think it just, to me, it's awesome having conversations with you guys about this stuff because I love hearing how you guys are battling and you're not worried about like, you know, what if this doesn't work out. I love to play hockey. I'm going to continue to go and kind of go from that. Do you guys have anything to touch on that, or do you want to?
Well, I was going to say, kind of like last year, I kind of did the same thing Tino did, where like after Sioux Falls, I was at Amarillo, and same thing Tino was saying. I just wasn't. Me and the coaches kind of had a different opinion on where I was in the lineup or what role I was in the lineup, and before, I mean, I feel like the biggest thing for me there was just like before I made that choice, I took my time with it. I kind of said, okay, I'll give it a few weeks, or for me it was a month. And then I really did take a look in the mirror, and I was like, okay, like, and I talked to my family, talked to my coaches, previous coaches, advisors, whatever. And I kind of like had my own conversation, like, all right, are we sure like we're gonna do this? Like, is this the right move? And I think it worked out for the best. And just really just making sure that like you're positive that this isn't a spy. It's not just you being upset or like you could say butthurt that you're not a top 6 guy, you're not a point per game guy, and it's not you just being upset about it. It's just like it's you and the coach just not having the same thing, or you know that like you're in a role where you can't develop, or you're in a spot where a year from now you're going to be in the same spot. You're not going to be any better. You're just going to be in that same kind of, you could say, quicksand. So.
Right. Yeah. No, I think making the decision is the most important part. Like letting someone else. Like it's one thing when you make a choice, and if you make that choice and it doesn't work out, that's one thing. But when you're stuck somewhere, right, or you're whatever the decision is, forget about hockey, just in general, and it's not on your terms. That's the worst part. Right. There's nothing worse than it not being on your terms, right?
Right.
So, yeah, guys. Just last little thing. If you had to think, you could say more than one, but if you say one person, right, one coach, one person in general, doesn't matter. Obviously, it could be parents, but like maybe, you know, wherever you guys want to kind of go with this, where would you say if you had to go to a coach for a second, right? Someone that's helped you really develop in the hockey world. Who would you say, and Tino, I'll start with you on this one since Max, we'll give Max a little time this time to think. Who would you say is your person that kind of really touched you, really brought you to a different level, really, you know, spent time with it, whatever, like however you want to kind of take that route.
So you said we can't say our parents?
Well, I mean, you can say your parents.
I guess. I mean, my dad, like, I really trust my dad's opinion above all because, you know, I know he has the best interest for me, and I know he'll always tell me it straight, even if it's not what I want to hear. like I always kind of go to him first, and I always value his opinion. I guess you could say the most, but I mean, I don't know if there's like one person. Like I love to get like a bunch of opinions. So I'll just name a couple people. Like I'll reach out to Jared Beach, I'll reach out to Jeremy Hall, and Dave Dorman are probably like my biggest three, because I feel like for one, they're all really respected in the hockey world. For two, they've coached a lot of people that were successful in the things I'm trying to do. And for three, like I feel like they all have a certain respect for me, that they'll give me the best advice possible for my best interest. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like those four people, like I'll reach out to them. And my advisor Alec, he helps out a lot too. But I mean, for the switch I went through from Johnstown to Salmon, I mean those 5 people, those 5 people were like the people I was in contact the most with. And then you get other people's opinions, but like, if it's not someone that's worked with you and like seen the goals you're trying to reach, then I mean you can value it to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, you got to make your own decisions, and you gotta kind of think for yourself, and whatever happens, it's meant to be, right? So I mean, yeah, those 5 people though are probably who I would go to for like most hockey problems. Like different problems, I go to different people, but like for when I went from Johnstown to the BC, I definitely would trusted all 5 of those people equally.
I feel like for me, I mean, it's kind of cliche too, but it's really my dad. Would be number 1, because I mean, he's been around the game for so long, and he's involved with a bunch of pro teams, different guys that have been through the experiences. So I'd say him number 1. And my others would be like same Jeremy Hall. I'd say Pat Farrell. They're both really close coaches of mine. And, I mean, we still have relationships with them. But I mean, for me, honestly, I feel like sometimes the best thing for me, if I'm going through something, I would see like either if I know someone or know a friend of someone that's been through what I'm going through, if that's a player, or if that's an older coach, or if that's someone, I'd reach out to them too, and I'd be like, okay, like, listen, I'm kind of in your boat here. Like, what did you do in this situation? Like, how did you feel? Because, I don't know, maybe you can relate to me, or sometimes it's good just to talk about it. So, but yeah, I feel like coach's perspective, or coach-wise, I feel like it would be my dad, Jeremy Hall, Pat Farrell, and even, I feel like everyone, honestly. Like, they all got their own point of view, and it all builds into one big either decision or kind of like, yeah, just honestly decision.
To bounce off Max real quick, he said like it's everyone. Like even when we're in here in the summer and things like that, and like maybe you're not might be in a direct situation, but you'll hear like another reason why like it's so awesome being around those pro guys is they've been through it and they're players, right? So it's different when you get an opinion from a coach, right? Because they're kind of gonna spit it to you in a certain way where it's like it might not go down as the way he thinks it's gonna go down, or you might not like have the conversation the way he thinks the conversation's gonna go. So like it's nice to talk to guys like Tony and like Ross and all those guys who've literally like probably been through all the situations you could probably been through and more. Just to like see the way they approach stuff, and like even if you're not asking them directly or ask them like when you're in that situation, just like being around those guys, it comes up in conversation. Like we're always joke around here and all that stuff, but like there's also some serious time here where like you actually really learn from those guys, and like me and Max again, we went different routes and things like that. Like I wouldn't hesitate to bounce something off Max and like take his opinion into serious consideration. And I'm sure vice versa, but like I think just as a whole, just like being in an environment like this and then like experiencing like hockey and things like that, there's so many for us. There's so many resources and things you can go to and like have different outlooks on things, and like there might be more than one right answer for you. Like just because like Max tells me to quit hockey and go play cricket, and you tell me to whatever, go play golf or whatever, that like doesn't really, you know what I mean? It doesn't really make one way the right way. It's just people have different opinions.
Cricket.
I feel like Tino's got a point there. It's just like it's totally different hearing from like an opinion from a player's perspective. Like obviously your coaches have played, and hopefully they've played, but it's totally different where like there's someone in your shoes already. Like I know if I text Tino, like he'll hold me accountable. Like if I ask him something or like I need an opinion on whatever, school or whatever, and maybe it's a dumb choice, I know he'll be like, are you kidding me? Like, don't do that. And it's just knowing that you're like friends or even calling him brother, like will hold you accountable and kind of be like, okay, like no, like you should not do this, and here's why. It's different hearing from a player. It's just like you can. It's more not trust, I'd say, but you can almost like relate to them. You know what I mean? Like coaches know what you're going through, but in the moment, it's totally different.
Boys, thank you so much for coming through. Appreciate you sharing your stories.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and it's the New Year's coming up, so this is halfway through the season, right?
Yeah, about. Yeah, just
We
about.
got 27.
Playoffs are coming up, baby. Playoffs are gonna start.
Ooh.
Hopefully, bring some hardware home to the TA. The TA factory. Gonna need a trophy case in there after this year, but
No, we'll actually be in a different spot too. So
yeah, it's true.
That's right. I need a new hoodie anyways.
yeah, true that. All right, cool.
Good stuff.
Boys, thank you. Thank you.
Look at Derek.
Where's Knight?